Well, the Daniel Penny verdict has come out, and he is now been found not guilty.
Yes.
Thank God.
Thank God there's some justice.
Yeah, now, what's weird is, first of all, the judge, I think, broke the law. I think the judge and, what's his name, the district attorney up there in New York, really, they should be disbarred. What they did in this particular case was wrong. When you have multiple counts and you're hung on the first count, you don't go to the second count. You declare a mistrial. But the judge, because of, is it Alvin Bragg?
He's the DA.
Yeah, the DA. Alvin Bragg went and said, hey, we will accept that they're hung on that. Just have them consider the lesser charge. Well, that's not the way it works. You don't do that. And he was just trying to get them to convict. And somehow or another, they went back today with very little time and found him 12-0 not guilty, which is weird that they were hung on the more serious charge. Yeah. And then somebody just, I think it's like, guys, it's Christmas. I've got to go shopping. Just, all right, whatever. I mean, honestly, it might have been that. I don't know why on the lesser charge they didn't have a hard time.
Someone was sharing one of the courtroom drawings of the jury. Yeah. And one of the people was wearing a mask, and they were just saying, this has to be the person who's holding this up. It kind of does make sense. I don't know if it's actually accurate.
Either that or it was the guy who shot the United Healthcare guy.
Yeah.
What a great place to hide out. Yeah. Hiding in the jury box.
But a fascinating thing, not exactly a banner year for Alvin Bragg.
No.
He's had a rough one.
No, yeah.
Really an embarrassment in every single way.
I honestly don't know why he's not being recalled. I mean, other than it's New York.
Yeah, but even in California, they've been recalling these guys.
I know.
I mean, they've been defeating them in elections, and this approach of we only go after the good guys and let all the bad guys go is not an approach I think the American people are comfortable with.
No.
That's something I think it's a message being
I
sent pretty clearly.
don't even know how the Good Samaritan law just didn't apply to him. He obviously was not trying to kill the guy.
Obviously. And they knew that. You could see it in the interview afterward.
Right. So how did the Good Samaritan law not apply?
I don't know what version of New York has of that law precisely. I mean, and obviously, I think.
It's probably Good Samaritan law. If you're a Good Samaritan and you're trying to cause harm, but it's on a white person.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if that's exactly how it's written.
And you are somebody who is in any of the other categories, then
that's how it's applied.
That is how it's applied,
right? And so
by the way, the threats are being issued now after the jury finds him guilty, and activists
not guilty. Not guilty.
Yeah, not guilty. Mm-hmm. And they are also activists are in the streets of New York right now protesting that he wasn't.
It's very difficult to even understand because some of the people who he was protecting on the subway were people of color, if you will.
Yeah, I don't think there was anyone on the subway that wasn't happy about it too.
Right.
Everybody in the car were like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, they might not have been happy that he died. And I don't think anyone was, including Daniel Penny was. Right? But they saw this as a clear, legitimate threat to their well-being. As they clarified in their testimony, it was not yet another one of these crazy people on the subway. If you've been in New York City, and this is I think it's a weird experience for anyone who's never lived there or worked there, as we have. But it's very much a normal part of your life to go on the subway and have a crazy person get on the subway and do something crazy while you're on the subway in an enclosed metal tube. Yeah. It is a weird experience, and you get really used to kind of looking at your shoes and looking the other way and acting like this thing that would have been the story you told your friends every single day if you live in any other city. You just ignore it and act like it's not happening.
I'm trying to remember the comedian that has a special happy face. He's so funny, and he talks about just getting on the subway in New York just trying not to get high on crack. He's like, somebody comes into the subway and they're smoking crack. And then somebody will be, hey, you can't do that in here. Like the guy cares. Oh my gosh.
Right.
This is so unlike me. I'm sorry. There's a child here. I'm so embarrassed. And you just try not to get high on crack.
Right. It always reminded me of how gun-free zones were really stupid. Mm-hmm. And that, like, the people who are coming to murder don't care about the gun-free zone. Right. The people who are coming to smoke crack on the subway don't care about your subway crack laws.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Right.
And so the people who were actually testifying in the trial made clear distinctions between that normal part of New York life of someone coming on the subway and acting a little crazy and maybe a little threatening, and what this guy was doing, Neely was doing. Right. They said they really believed they were in danger. And I think that was the correct assumption. He was saying he didn't care what if he went to prison for life, he was going to kill people. He was threatening them directly. The fact that Daniel Penny stopped that, or God forbid, whatever it could have become, from happening means he should be treated as a hero, not as someone who's on trial. And the fact that this came out right is a good conciliatory prize, but not the right outcome.
Was it Bernie Getz? Who was the one that shot the guy on the subway?
Yeah, Bernie Getz was one of them. Yeah.
Bernie Getz. Mm-hmm. What happened to him?
He got off too, didn't he?
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Isn't it weird that it's the same kind of out of control city where somebody is just, everybody knows they're afraid on the subway. Everybody knows crime is everywhere, and nobody does anything. And Bernard Getz took a gun on the subway, shot a guy out of control, went through the same thing, and was found innocent, I believe.
And it was more, I would say, more controversial than this one.
Because he was carrying a gun in New York.
Right. And he was, if I remember right, convicted of carrying an illegal firearm.
Right.
A firearm he was not supposed to have without a permit. But that's all he was. That's all he got. In this case, this is quite clear. It's disturbing the way that he was interviewed. He was interviewed as if the police were his friend and they were trying to suss all this out in a positive way. I didn't like that at all.
You said a couple of things that stuck with me. A couple of weeks ago, you said, I finally get the police are not your friends. Don't talk to the police without your attorney.
Yeah. I've always been like, I don't know. I've always had great interactions with police. And I think that's still the norm. But
it is. But you don't know.
You don't know. And, popping in my head is Jeff Fisher. Host of a podcast here on Blaze, the Blaze Podcast Network, and he always says this. He carries a card with him that gives you the outline of don't talk to the police. They're not your friends. And he has a whole little 6-step plan if you ever are talked to. Now,
is it written in crayon?
No, he didn't. It's not his writing. It's somebody else's card. But he just has so much legal trouble that I think he has to have it with him at all times. But I remember him showing that to me at one point and being like, all right, in most interactions, it's totally fine to talk to the police. After watching that with Penny, I was like, gosh, if you do something right, if God forbid you have to use your Second Amendment rights in personal defense, I wouldn't say word one to the police, not because I don't think the police are trustworthy. I think they are, but there's a system around it, and frankly, you can't trust anybody. And there's a system around it that will churn that into something where you are a racist or you are. I don't know what they're going to say about you. And the best thing is just zip it.
If the government wants to get you, they will get you.
Yeah,
they will get you.
I think that's true.
They hold all of the cards,
especially in a place like New York.
Oh my gosh!
Especially, if you're conservative living in New York, it's. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know why you do it. Honestly,
you did it.
I did it
years ago, but you did it. I mean, I don't think things were nearly as bad when you were there. I don't think they were great.
You remember the process of trying to get a gun? My life was at stake, all the time. Had all kinds. I'd have to have had 6 security guys with me, in rotation all the time. Sometimes all 6 of them, and couldn't get a. No, the judge just didn't think that it was necessary, that my threats were credible. It's like, you remember the end of Miracle on 34th Street? I want that proof on my desk. And they came in with all the bags of letters to Santa Claus. Yeah. That's kind of like the way I felt, like, oh, I can bring you the proof. What are you talking about? It's It's insane.
Let me give you another movie that tells this same story. It's a United Healthcare CEO walking to work.
Yeah.
You think you don't need some protection in that city? This poor guy just walking to work with a wife and 2 kids just gets executed in the streets, and most of the city seems to be cheering on the murderer. You know, in a world like that, you don't need protection in that city. Of course you do. There's a great, I think it's like a flow chart in one of your books. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Arguing with Idiots, or it's one of the earlier ones.
Was it for the guns?
It was for the guns of how to buy a gun in New York.
It was.
I want to say it was Arguing with Idiots, but it was one of Inconvenient Book, maybe. I don't remember.
I think it was Inconvenient Book.
Okay, but you have one of them here.
I have, yeah.
So you flip through it. But there is, if there's a gun chapter, it probably is in there. But there is a flowchart of how to get one in New York, and it was actually a person who was writing, because Kevin, who was a co-author of the book, who actually tried to do it and went through the entire process. It is insanity. Insanity. I mean, it's step after step after step after step. It's submitting paperwork. It's, going back. It's resubmitting it over and over and over again. And it's like to the point where they know actually in reality what you're doing. They know they're on the, they should approve it, but they do everything they can to deny it.
Right.
It's similar to what they're accusing healthcare companies of, where they
it's
do everything they
exactly
can.
the same. They just wear you out.
Yeah, they wear you out.
They just
it's years
until you're just like, okay, I can't. I mean, who can do that? Mm-hmm. Who can do that?
I will say this is not a paid commercial. Good time to think about a Byrna launcher.
Yeah,
because that is legal in all 50 states. Again, check your local laws just to be sure, triple sure. I know it's legal in states, but then I don't know if cities have. Be sure, be careful, make sure you check. But I mean, that is exactly the type of thing that the Byrna launcher is.
This is something that I don't understand. And again, not a commercial. I don't understand why those aren't in every schools, every school in America. Why aren't those in schools?
They're non-lethal.
Non-lethal, so you're not going to kill any of the children. You might make some of them cry with tear gas. You don't even have to be a good shot. You can just be near. You could put your hand just outside the door and aim it down the hallway towards the guy who's shooting. And if you're within 6 feet, it's going to stop him. It's going to put him in tear gas and give everybody a chance to pile on that guy.
Yeah.
I
don't understand it either.
You're not going to kill any children. Why wouldn't? It's almost as if somebody doesn't want to solve this. Because that is the solution, is a Byrna launcher.
It's at least, it's a great part of it, at the very least, and it, it's available, it's affordable.
If you're on a school board, you should suggest that.